It's 15 to 9 now. I want to talk to you about this because I don't believe this story. I read it and almost thought that surely someone is inventing this.
I thought so too when I first read it.
This story is carried this morning. I think it's in the Age. Two Melbourne academics have received death threats after writing a theoretical paper that argues killing a newborn baby should be allowed in cases where an abortion would have been granted. What does that mean?
Here are people complaining about receiving threats after writing a paper which an academic paper which threatens the life of babies. I mean, essentially that's what it is. And they're complaining about the threats to them. Their paper, and we're talking about Alberto Giubellini of Monash University, I think it's also the University of Milan,
yes,
and Dr. Francesca Minerva of Melbourne University. They've written a paper in the ironically titled Journal of Medical Ethics, suggesting just what you said, that what they call after-birth abortion, which is a weasel word for killing or murder, what we call after-birth abortion, killing a newborn, should be permissible in all the cases where abortion is, including cases where the newborn is not disabled. So that's a healthy child soon after birth. And those reasons for killing it could be economical circumstances change. So presumably, and I'm thinking here, you've gone out and blown the week's wages on the pokies, you come back, you see the baby just 1 or 2 days old, and you think I can't afford it, so you can kill it. Or social or psychological circumstances change. So you don't want it, you're depressed, whatever. Now, that's their article.
Why would you write such a piece of
Because
rubbish?
that's where we're up to.
That
is exactly where we're up to. We live in a country
these
where
are philosophers,
babies,
these people.
Where babies have been born in Darwin Hospital at, I think, the Royal Melbourne, or was it the Royal Women's? Royal Women's, I think. Excuse me if I get this wrong. Born alive and allowed to die because the parents didn't want them. Right? So this is where we are at. Now, the editor of the Journal of Medical Ethics has been asked why he published something so morally offensive. Julian Savulescu. And, you know, people of the left dismiss me when I say there's a slippery slope argument. You remove a taboo, or you change some tradition, and then it's a slippery slope.
Like your argument on gay marriage.
Like my argument on gay marriage. Listen to this. This is Julian Savulescu's excuse for the article, and you tell me that this is not the slippery slope argument to the extent of it being a they're all doing it anyway argument. Here he goes. The arguments presented, in fact, are largely not new, and have been presented repeatedly in academic literature. So everyone's doing it. He says, anyway, infanticide is practiced in the Netherlands.
Is it?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
How?
Well, the baby is a bit disabled or something, and they kill it.
Do they?
In certain circumstances, yes.
Why?
Because it's disabled, don't you know? And this is the thing. Once you start removing a taboo like abortion, abortion's wrong. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying once you remove a taboo, abortion's wrong, then where do you draw the line? Suddenly you're making it up as you go along. Now, if the line is, as you say, it's consciousness. The baby's not a conscious being. Well, where do you stop then? What if, does that apply? What about someone who's asleep?
And what percentage?
They're not conscious when they're asleep. Can you kill them then?
What percentage of consciousness is?
Or if they're unconscious, can you kill them then?
Well, they make the line here that they say newborns and fetuses are morally equivalent potential persons whose family interests override theirs.
So when do you stop being a potential person and a real person? I would have thought that a baby in a bassinet
the moment
is no longer potential. It is a person.
Lynn in Sunbury's got a view on this, I think. Hello, Lynn, although I find the whole argument completely unbelievable. Hello, Lynn.
Yes, hello, Steve and Andrew. I just agree with Andrew when he says we're on a slippery slope because in 2008 was passing of the Victorian Abortion Law Reform Act, which means now babies can be killed right up to the moment of birth. A completely healthy, normal baby can be killed. It's open slather, and I think this is just taking it to that next extreme, slippery slope, as Andrew said.
That's exactly right, Lynn. I mean, tell me what the difference is, and this is the frightening thing. Tell me what the difference is between late-term abortions, which are now permitted in Victoria,
Yes.
late-term abortions, and killing a baby 1 or 2 days afterwards. What is the difference? And that's the...
Well, that is exactly it. A day before the day the baby's born, before the baby's born, it's allowed to be killed in the womb. But after the baby's born, we call it murder. So,
well, what's the difference between that 1 or 2 days? I don't understand.
Well, I don't understand it either, and that's what the Victorian Abortion Law Reform Act passed in 2008. The Labor government at the time, and now they're trying to do the same thing in Queensland and all other states. It was supposed to be a medical model for other states.
Well,
now listen, when I say
was there
what's
a lot
the
of
difference,
debate about those changes in those
no,
abortion
because
laws?
they've sneaked up on us, and people are refusing to have an argument about these things because they think it'll delegitimise.
When I first came
else.
back here, a Liberal MP mentioned this to me, and I was completely unaware the changes have even happened.
They have.
Hello, Bob.
Oh, that reminds me of one of the early debates on abortion that was given free rein in Parliament that Fred Daly and Jim Killen took part in. At the same time, they were talking. A lot of discussion was going on about how to get retrospectivity in laws. And Fred Daly gave a very spirited and not tasteless but still witty talk in favour of choice in abortion, and Jim Killen was following, and he said, look, that was a fantastic argument that my learned colleague gave. In fact, even though I'm going to argue against abortion, he said, I really was moved so much that I almost felt that I could agree with him, and in his case, make it retrospective.
As usual, a good line from Jim Killen. Hello, Peter.
Hello. Look, I don't usually ring, but this case of these two guys with this theory, I believe they may be against abortion and against all of those things because it only strengthens the argument that a baby, whether it's in or out of the womb, is still a human being.
That's a reverse way of looking at it.
Exactly, and that's why I think their argument is not denigrating or not pro-abortion. They are now making people think that, whether the baby's in or out doesn't matter.
You sound like a bit of a philosopher yourself, Peter.
Eh?
You sound like a philosopher yourself to have that view.
I'm a dreamer. I'm a thinker.
All right, Peter. What do you make of that, Andrew?
Well, I'll just quote you how they themselves put it. The authors, they say, referring to themselves, the authors argue that what we call after-birth abortion, killing a newborn, should be permissible in all the cases where abortion is. So I think it goes a little bit beyond that. But what I find just so hypocritical, vile, and showing such moral vacuity is Julian Savulescu, I'll quote him again, the editor of the journal that published this. He says, he complains, they've had threats. Let me just read, and you tell me what you think of this. What is disturbing, says this guy, is not the arguments in this paper, nor its publication in an ethics journal. It is the hostile, abusive, threatening responses that is elicited. What makes him upset is not a proposal to kill babies, it's that people get upset about it.
Some death threat, please. Give me a break. Andrew, thank you. Have a great weekend. Who you got on the Bolt Report on Sunday?